You're listening to the Things of That Nature podcast. Coming to you from Denver, the Mile High City, is me, your host, Rockshana. I invite you to join me for truly honest, passionate, and fun talks that motivate, invigorate, and maybe inspire. When you're ready in the Mile High, the sky's the limit. Everything and anything goes. So let's start talking about things of that nature. Hey everyone, thanks for tuning into this episode of the Things of That Nature podcast. I'm your host, Rockshana, and today I have an energy healer. Her name happens to be Shanta Gabriel, where maybe the name's kind of ironic. Gabriel, Archangel Gabriel, energy healing, maybe a thing. Hi Shanta, how are you today?
Hi Rockshana, thank you so much for having me here. It's a pleasure.
Absolutely. So has anyone said that about your name in line with your profession?
There have been a few comments when I have a message from Archangel Gabriel that might be interesting. That they say, "Oh, Gabriel." Yeah.
Okay. So you are an energy healer.
Yes.
I have come across in my lifetime, not that it's been long, but different people that deal with energy and different planes and such like that. And everyone has a different take. So I'm really intrigued to hear your take on it and where it comes from and everything about that. I'm excited.
About energy healing, you mean?
Yes.
Okay. So one of the things that I think is so exciting about this time that we're living in now is that it's become accepted to work with energy and to talk about energies and to recognize that there is a quality of consciousness that's beyond the physical. And so that is so much easier because just even, 20 years ago or so, when I was trying to do energy healing in Honolulu, where I lived at that time, there was quite a lot of talk about it being jargon, and I needed to define another word rather than energy, stuff like that. And so but now medical doctors are using the words energy so that it's like they invented it or something, so it's a very fertile time that we're living in right now, and I feel really grateful about that. Energy healing itself uses these high frequency I wanted to say bandwidth, so I will. Okay, so it's like a bandwidth of energy that we are not used to in our daily physical life. And so when you are working with that frequency, it actually calls in what I refer to as divine light. It's a higher frequency of energy that holds divine love. It holds infinite intelligence. It's a higher frequency that can take our the debris in our cells, or any kind of discordant vibrations in our field, and lift it up into these higher frequencies of light, and that causes people to be free, to feel more peaceful, to feel more connected to their highest self. And I think that being connected to our higher selves is a prerequisite for peaceful living at this time. Does that answer the question?
That does answer the question.
Okay, good.
Now, how does like the process work?
Well, there's several ways. When I first started doing this, I was doing it hands-on because I was a massage therapist, and I studied with a Hawaiian healer while I lived in Hawaii, and he worked with what he called light force. So I think that you could actually say that's pretty much what I do too. It's a force of light energy that carries these high frequencies that enables the body to to let go of anything that is not in harmony with their deepest connection to source and to that truth in themselves. So now, since 2012, actually, because things energetically changed on the planet then, and it allowed me to be able to do what I'm calling light activation sessions, which brings light frequencies into the body long distance. And people are really actually having pretty much the same experience they used to have when they were on my table, only they're having it in the comfort of their home.
Oh, I see. Would you prefer to do it on your table versus distantly?
I'm enough of a loner to appreciate having somebody on my table because it's more social, and then there's also this deeper heart connection, I think, because we can see into each other's eyes, and and the eyes are the seat of the soul. So it's very sweet when somebody is on my table and I can have that kind of interaction with them.
Okay. What festered this? Like, has this something that you were intrigued in even as a young child, or something you picked up later on as like adulthood?
Yes. When I was about 30, I became a spiritual seeker. I became really curious about what else is there available in life. I had a really high-paying job as a in this condominium complex that was a luxury on the beach complex in San Diego, and I noticed that most of the people who were quite wealthy, they had everything that I had been told that I should work for, and they were not happy. And so then I started this whole question, like, well, what does make you happy, and what else is there in life that can bring more harmony into my body and mind and heart? And so I started questing, and several things happened. But the most important thing was that I met this teacher from India. He was a master of the science of sound. He was quite elderly. He was teaching us about energy. He was teaching us about how to use light and use the quality of sound to anchor light onto the planet and to solve world problems. He said that most everybody that was coming to see him, and this is back in the 77 or 78, that most of the people that were coming to see him were healers, and he wanted us to be able to work together to use the mantra, the sound waves, to restore peace to the earth, and to solve, like, famine and different issues like that. Obviously, we haven't mastered that quite yet, but the group that he started with is still working now, even though he's not there, and there's a new teacher that he designated. But the point of this story is that the more we meditated, the more I refined my energy system, the more I was able to see the light and work with the energies and work with these visionary processes that brought these higher frequencies of sound and light and healing into a body. And so that was a very big refinement process, and that lasted about 5 years or so, living in an ashram and being with, in strong spiritual practices with a group. When I moved to Hawaii from then, in the early 80s, then I met this healer there who worked the light force, as I was telling you, and so then that brought an even greater expansion and refinement into my work. And that's really how it started, and that's where I became fascinated and loved the process of working with energy. and that was when Archangel Michael showed up too, was while I was doing a healing session. And that was so fascinating and so frightening because it was a huge, massive light emanation that had wings that went out my cathedral ceiling. So that was really strong and kind of shocking because I was praying for a new path in life to open, but I had not planned on an archangel or anything having to do with angels. That wasn't interesting to me. And so that was kind of the beginning of working with these beings of light that carry qualities of consciousness that we can use in the world. So that was the kind of the beginning of a whole different avenue of work.
Okay. So I'm going to clarify for those that weren't fully listening or all of a sudden you caught their attention, because I just want to clarify for myself too as I listen. Did you just say that an archangel, wings and all, fully appeared to you as you were planning for a different direction in life?
Yes, that was the first time that I had that kind of a visitation. Yes, and I was working on a person at the time. I was at her head, and I send light down the body. That's how I complete. And the whole room started vibrating. I'm from California, so I think earthquake. But then I remember I'm in Hawaii, and there was this huge, massive amount of light behind my eyes, so that when I opened my eyes, there he was at the end of my table. And the only reason I know that was Archangel Michael, because I had no background, I in my mind said, "And who are you?" And he said, "I am Archangel Michael," in one of those kind of booming voices inside my head. And it was, my reaction to that was, I wish I could say, "Oh, thank you. And what are you here to teach me? And how can I serve?" I was not that cool at the time because it was too disturbing. It was too outside my norm. It was, and also, the Hindu structure that I had been trained in for that last 5 to 7 years does not encourage people to follow their visions, as strange as that may sound, but they say it's a distraction from your path if and that it causes you to lose energy rather than gain energy. So that was my background, and so I was not really interested in why this vision was there. And it was hard to ignore him, but I kind of did, for about the next year. He would show up, but not quite so dramatically, but he'd still bring all that light, and people were having healing experiences. And so I kind of noticed, but I didn't pay a lot of attention. And so about a year later, I was meditating, and once again, that whole experience of the room vibrating, gold light covering everything. And then there was this huge being of light with wings that went out the ceiling again. Only this time I could see his eyes, and he said he was Archangel Gabriel. And he said that he was going to teach me how to do, he was going to teach me how to receive messages and share the wisdom of the archangels with people. And so that was when I surrendered and said, "Okay, let's do it," and so that was the beginning of at least 3 years where every single day I received a message, and I've put them into a book called The Gabriel Messages, and I have a card set that goes with it. And it was like one of the most thrilling times of my life. I did not tell my husband I was married at the time. He and my family both, they already thought I was a